with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app. Your access.
Going forward, working with the private sector, we also need to create a framework for real-world business cases by developing standardized and certified technology packages.
Federal government positions renewable energy as engine of growth as acting president Yemi Osinbajo inaugurates Renewable Energy Roundtable. On special assignment, correspondent examines prospects of economic recovery and infrastructural development.
We're doing everything possible to ensure that we create jobs, all the necessary infrastructures that will make business seamless.
Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi in Kaduna assures on takeoff of inland dry port. Nigeria commemorates 2017 World Refugee Day, promises more coordinated approach to humanitarian issues. Thanks for joining us on the NTA Network News for tonight. I am Fumi Wakama. The 2017 budget becomes the first to allocate 35% for capital expenditure, especially to meet the deficit in infrastructure for improved growth and development in the country. Leah Katun Babatunde in this report takes a look at its implications and achievability.
The 2017 budget, a 7.44 trillion naira spending plan, has a record of about 140 billion naira increase over the 7.298 trillion naira proposed by the executive. This was arrived at after a 6-month period elapsed where the executive and the legislature had to reach a common front. Capital expenditure for the fiscal year is pegged at 2.36 trillion naira. Ratio of capital spending has risen from 15% in 2015 to 30% in 2016 and 31% in 2017. However, Minister of Budget and National Planning Udoma Udoma says the policy of project-based releases is still in force.
Capital budget, each MDA will have to justify, apply and justify and show us evidence of what they have done, and also the ability to utilize the funds. And it is when they apply that we can then process it and release. So releases will be targeted.
The infrastructure component of the budget is 2.18 trillion naira, roughly 30% of the total budget. 1.2 trillion naira was spent on infrastructure in the 2016 budget out of the 1.8 trillion naira budgeted for that purpose. Nigeria needs about $3 trillion to boost our infrastructure stock to at least 70% of GDP by 2043. It is in this regard that the federal government is aligning the National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan with the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan to bridge the infrastructure gap, which currently stands at an average of 25% ratio to GDP.
We need to now know the costing of this. We need not to cost the project. We need to know those ones that are a priority, which may not have been priorities in 2014 when this NIP document was produced.
The 2017 budget prioritizes roads and railway projects, social housing, special economic zones, social investment programs, river basin development, presidential amnesty program, and development in the Niger Delta and Northeast. In Abuja, I'm Leah Katun Babatunde.
And joining me now is Tilewa Adebajo, Finance and Economic Analyst, to discuss more on this. Mr. Adebajo, if you can hear me, a very good evening to you and welcome to NTA Network News for tonight. look at Nigeria's capital expenditure allocations from about 18% in 2014-2015, 30% in 2016, and to 35% in 2017, attention seems to be on infrastructure development, and that seems to be on the rise. What's your take on this?
It is definitely a positive development because now we're spending about 30% of the budget on capital expenditure. Last year, for instance, we spent about 1.2 trillion out of the about 1.7, 1.8 trillion that was budgeted, which was a very good performance despite the fact that we were suffering with revenues. The Ministry of Finance recently announced another 350 billion in expenditure for this year's capex of 2.24 trillion. Out of the 2.24 trillion, of course, about 560 billion of that is going to just power works and housing. 260 billion is going to transport. Special intervention is actually getting about 150 billion, with defense getting another 140 billion. So those are the four key ministries that have capital expenditure over 100 billion. Then you have people like the trade and investment, water resources, and education in the 90s. So it's quite a positive development, but as the gentleman who put the report together said, we still have quite a massive infrastructure deficit, and the challenge really is how we're going to finance that infrastructure deficit that we have.
You alluded to the release of 1.2 trillion out of 1.7 trillion, right? So what can government do to surpass this in 2017?
First of all, I think the funding scheme of government has to be accelerated because don't also forget that we're in a recession. And one of the things we're all counting on was the fact that this stimulus is going to help with the recession, because we're now financing close to 4 trillion in deficit over the next 2 years, and we're spending quite a significant amount of funds in terms of debt service. So it's not only important that government should spend this money, but they should spend it in a timely manner. And it's important that we improve the efficiency in terms of our fundraising to be able to fund the deficit and fund these programs. So I think this year, with the improving revenues and the stability in oil prices, I think we should be able to meet those revenue targets and achieve the necessary stimulus that should be able to take the country out of a recession.
You talked about funding. Can you expatiate a little bit more about the options available to government in funding of this budget?
Right now, the revenues we're expecting to come in, we have a deficit. We have revenues of about 4.5 trillion on expenditure of about 7. So we have a deficit of about 2.2, and we've carried over a deficit from last year. The government is going to local borrowing and, of course, international borrowing, which we've talked about. But I think what is important is that the central bank might need to step up with some revenue bonds at a low interest rates to be able to bridge the gap for the Ministry of Finance to accelerate this stimulus package, while the Finance Ministry can now take their time to go out to the international financial markets and, of course, tap the domestic markets to raise the funding. So they're looking at a combination of both because debt funding on the domestic market is more expensive than the international market. So the government is trying to shift its debt management portfolio more to international lending, and that does take a while.
I think we'll have to leave it there, Mr. Adebajo. I have been speaking with Mr. Tilewa Adebajo, and together we've been taking a look at the 2017 capital expenditure budget. Moving on now, capacity building and finance are two major challenges impeding the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. In addressing this challenge, the federal government, in partnership with the World Bank and the Department for International Development, DFID, introduced Growth and Employment Project. Finance and Economy correspondent Sheung Ogunloye brings us the report.
Unemployment is a global phenomenon. Yes, many economies, particularly third world countries, including Nigeria, with an unemployment rate of 14.2% as at fourth quarter of 2016, the federal government has been working hard to find measures at bringing down the figure. The Growth and Employment GEM project is one of the tools the Nigerian government is using to tackle the challenge of unemployment through the growth of MSME sector. Emijeko Cassandra and Abdullahi Mohazu are two of the beneficiaries of this initiative.
The grant will go a long way in helping us to expand our businesses and employ a lot more people.
This project and many more that will help ease off the decay in our economy.
We also believe that these highly competitive grants that you are getting will empower you Nigerians and help drive inclusive economic growth.
With these established entrepreneurs cutting across 6 important areas of the economy, including ICT, entertainment, wholesale and retail, construction and real estate, hospitality and tourism, and meat and leather, hope seems to be rising for the unemployed population in Nigeria, as their growth is expected to create more than 100,000 jobs in the country.
All these efforts are what we're hoping will eventually lead to an economy that is thriving again, that is growing, that is rolling, with people like you at the helm.
Realizing the importance of MSMEs to national economic development, Nigeria may sooner than later find herself in the league of world successful economies driven by the likes of Cassandra and Abdullahi. In Abuja, Sheung Ogunluyi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, diversification of the Nigerian economy is receiving a boost as the mining sector is partnering donor agencies towards contributing to Nigeria's gross domestic product. Amina Nojem has more of this on Business News.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The value of export trade from Nigeria in the quarter of 2017 rose by 0.9% to close at 3.006 trillion naira. This represents an increase of 26.95 billion naira over the value recorded in the fourth quarter of 2016. The National Bureau of Statistics in its first quarter 2017 foreign trade statistics disclosed crude oil accounted for the largest share of total trade with 44.91%, followed by other oil products, manufactured products, raw materials. The report states that Europe recorded the highest buyer of Nigerian crude oil as the continent imported 810.287 billion naira from Nigeria in the period under review. And in other business news, the federal government is strengthening ties with development partners and donor agencies to raise the contribution of mining to gross domestic product from 0.34% to over 3% within the next 10 years. The Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, at an interactive session with major stakeholders in Abuja, emphasized government's commitment to a vision that will diversify the economy and reduce over-reliance on crude oil.
Right now, the bulk of our mining is taking place in the rural communities. It's the artisanal miners that dominate the sector, which is why we don't want to criminalize them, but incorporate them into the mainstream of mining in a manner that they can be useful to the growth agenda and also useful to themselves.
And now a graphic summary of closing figures from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The business news segment. The news continues shortly.
And we turn our attention now to the energy sector. The federal government says it will continue to embark on broader restructuring of the electricity sector and strive to achieve a more systematic development of the power market design, especially for renewable energy. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, at an inaugural event of the Nigerian Renewable Energy Roundtable in Abuja, underscored the need to bring and keep all stakeholders together towards ensuring that renewable energy becomes an engine of growth for Nigeria's economy. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
An interesting testimony from Eke Ababa, residing in Lagos, who through the use of the solar power has been able to expand his business having more shops with 12 employees. That is the power of the renewable energy described as strategic to job creation and real economic growth. The federal government, in its Vision 30-30-30, hopes to generate 30 gigawatts of electricity by 2030 with 30% renewable energy.
Going forward, working with the private sector, we also need to create a framework for real-world business cases by developing standardized and certified technology packages, standardized contracts, and a toolkit for energy cooperatives with technical, institutional, financing, and legal elements. We also need to explore the opportunities for revolving funds for solar, PV, and wind projects, as well as opportunities for other investments and remuneration mechanisms. It's also important for us as we go forward that we break the deadlock of the electricity market structures by exploring the options to transform, quote, the competition for markets approach.
The Renewable Energy Roundtable that is being spearheaded by the Ministry of Science and Technology and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group would be a platform for stakeholders to walk the talk towards the realization of the vision on renewable energy.
We are determined to work as hard as it is needed to help move our economy, move our nation away from a resource-based economy to knowledge-based, innovation-driven economy.
The National Assembly will be very, very excited to work with you to ensure that the normal or the required laws are put in place to create an enabling environment for us to exploit these resources effectively.
And the political will by the federal government is key to the success of this effort and project.
As noted, with the commitment of the Buhari administration, the table is set for stakeholders to put Nigeria at the forefront of new renewable technologies and skills in the West African region. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In the meantime, the transportation sector in Nigeria continues to attract attention as the Kaduna Inland Dry Port is to commence full operation this year. Minister of Transportation Chibuke Rotimi Amechi, while inspecting the project, expressed optimism that it will create employment, boost local and national economy. Oyinaya Kalu Oka reports.
Congestion is a central challenge in almost all the seaports in Nigeria, leading to loss of man-hour and revenue. Recent developments in the transportation sector bring a ray of hope as the federal government perfects plan to develop inland dry ports in the 6 geopolitical zones, starting with the north central in Kaduna. The Kaduna Inland Dry Port was conceived as part of federal government effort to decongest the seaports and bring shipping services closer to the hinterland. This dry port has the capacity to handle 29,000 containers annually. Sitting on a 5 hectares of land with a provision for expansion, the modern dry port is housing terminal cargo handling equipment to facilitate quick delivery.
Everything you can do in a port in Lagos, you can also do here.
Excited by this development, Transportation Minister Chibuke Rotimi Amechi promised to leave no stone unturned in ensuring the completion of the project before the end of this year, as well as to hasten the process of connecting the port to the rail line.
The rail lines will soon start running before the end of the year. We are doing everything possible to ensure that we create jobs and make all the necessary infrastructures that will make business seamless.
Host Governor Nasru El-Rufai of Kaduna State on his part promised to put the road leading to the ports in good shape.
The road will be reconstructed into a concrete pavement to be able to carry the road. We don't want to replicate the problem of a pop-up port with only one entrance and exit, so we will work with you to build another road so there will be 2 entrances and exits.
These are ports of destination and ports of origin.
The port manager Rotimi Remi called on the northern states and business communities of Chad, Niger Republic, Cameroon and Central Africa to take advantage of the proximity of the ports.
We can export from here direct to abroad, and you can import direct from abroad down here.
For the host community, the port will transform Kaduna into a business and commercial hub of the north. The Kaduna Inland Dry Port is the first of its kind in Nigeria. From Kaduna, Oyinaya Kalu Okaha, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Still to come in the news, federal government restates commitment to protecting Nigeria's territorial integrity as acting president meets northern traditional rulers. We'll bring you details in just a moment.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup?
Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
Hey, now who they here? My name now Mr. Shortcut. I dey mind my money. Now cheap one, I dey buy. Standard, we sign. Now to buy cheap one. Hey, now one kind cable for my yard. A cheap building material where we take build my office. I think say I dey save money. Office building collapse and fire burn my house.
You don't see what happened to Mr. Shortcut? Well, Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, don't ready for action and say enough of pain, loss and wastage. And if you see product where no dey correct, call the SON office way near you or SON help desk. Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
The Future Assured project of the wife of the president, Aisha Muhammad Buhari, is carrying out free medical screening and distribution of food items at various IDP camps while ensuring the economic empowerment of women through training and skill acquisition. In recognition of her efforts, wives of governors have lent their voices and support.
In Kogi State, we feel the impact of Future Assured, especially in women and children.
The Future Assured program of Mrs. Aisha Muhammad Buhari, the wife of the president, has been very assuring and still reassuring in Sokoto State. It has impacted positively in the areas of humanity, especially women and children.
Supports the Future Assured initiative. Email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant to achieve our creed as we promise. We shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
The FIFA Confederations Cup Russia 2017 on Quest Free Sports for the fan.
Imperatives of economic diversification, which way for solid minerals development. This is the focus on this week's edition of Tuesday Live. Tuesday Live. Incisive, informative, and educative. Join us.
Thanks for being there. You're still watching the NTA Network News. Coasting home towards conclusion of his consultation sessions with leaders in the country over security threats, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has met with traditional rulers from the northern part of the country, reaffirming the readiness of the federal government to protect the territorial integrity of the nation. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has details.
Describing the royal fathers as link between the past and the success of the future, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo urges them to continue to counsel the misguided amongst the youth.
President Muhammadu Buhari spoke of his commitment to one Nigeria as arising from his experience in the military, where he fought side by side with Nigerians of every tribe and faith from the 60s in the Congo. He said, we protected each other, we put our lives on the line for each other. We were brothers even in the face of death. This is the type of nation that we must maintain. And as royal fathers and leaders, I'm sure you will agree with me that we have a role to play in countering the voices of divisiveness.
Government, he says, is not deaf to the legitimate concerns and frustrations arising from around the country. These grievances must be expressed graciously and managed mutually, he cautions.
It is clear to me that we are all resolved to, by words, by conduct and action, to promote the unity of our nation. On our part as government, let me say that we will ensure that the entire apparatus of government is deployed to ensure that no one threatens Nigeria's territorial integrity, that no one threatens the lives or livelihoods of any Nigerian living anywhere in this federation. Our objective is to provide the environment for a prosperous nation, a nation where all, regardless of ethnicity or religion, can pursue their legitimate aspirations peacefully and securely. That is the kind of nation that we intend to build. That's the kind of nation that we need.
Our crisis now, even when we had this civil war, some of them were not even born that time. So now that they are talking, so now there's need for us, especially the traditional institution, to go back and then ensure that we let our people and ensure that we live in peace, because the unity of this country must be upheld.
The acting president is scheduled to round off his consultations in a meeting with all state governors in Abuja. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In a related development, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo says he is delighted by the determination of Nigerians, particularly traditional rulers, to make sacrifices for the good of the nation. The acting president was speaking at the breaking of fast with northern traditional rulers at the presidential villa, Abuja. Here again is Jide Onifade.
Acting President Yemi Osinbajo says it is heartwarming to know that the country has leaders, particularly traditional ones, who are prepared to make sacrifices, concessions, and compromise for the good of the nation. The acting president, who joined top northern traditional rulers to observe breaking of fast at the State House, explains that the nation requires the kind of maturity and leadership that the traditional rulers have displayed.
Our faithfulness even to the lives of those who have gone or have made the supreme sacrifice for this nation demands that we do everything in our power to keep our country together. And in any event, the greatest nations in the world are those nations that have the size as well as the human resources in particular, the endowed human resources to make the best of that size. And I think our nation has that. We are in the best possible position to not only be truly great, but to ensure that all of our people benefit from the greatness of our country.
Well, try to strengthen the acting president, give him more wisdom to continue to steer the ship of our great country, especially at this critical time, which I believe, and I've always said it, challenging time, but when there are challenges, real men rise up to face the challenges, and we will, inshallah, surmount those challenges and come out a much stronger, a much better country. For this gesture, and the Almighty Allah to give this country peace, development and progress required for all the challenges we have in this country. And I will pray this month, all the lessons learned in the month of Ramadan will go a long way to giving us more sort of peace in this country.
While thanking the monarchs for the guidance and support for the Buhari administration, Acting President Osinbajo appealed for more of the support for the good of the nation. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jude Onifade, NTA News.
And still staying with matters relating to religion, 2 Muslim and Christian staff of the National Union of Road Transport Workers have been picked from the annual open ballot introduced to assist them participate in pilgrimage exercise to the Holy Land of Israel and Saudi Arabia. The national president of the union, Najib Yassin, who started the free sponsorship exercise since 2011, said 24 staff have so far benefited from the program. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
President of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, Najib Yassin, said the full sponsorship program for lucky staff is to help rejuvenate their spiritual lives. He observed that many staff willing to participate in the pilgrimage to Israel and Saudi Arabia are unable to do so because of harsh economic realities. As part of measures to motivate staff to put in their best, staff went through the transparent process of balloting.
I spent 18 years, but I don't have such an opportunity. It's only during his tenure that we enjoyed so much opportunity. I went to Addis Ababa, I went to Togo, I went to so many countries.
We get our allowances, they give us bonus. Like look at now, we have the rice and what a few they are waiting for us.
While urging those going on pilgrimage to conduct themselves very well, the union president encouraged other staff of the union to be hopeful in the next exercise.
After you pray for yourself, you pray for Nigeria. You pray for this organization. You pray for the speed recovery of our president, President Buhari, and may the Almighty Allah bring him back to Nigeria healthy.
The union has already made available Eid al-Fitr gifts to the staff. In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
And away from religious matters, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has approved the redeployment of 3 permanent secretaries. In a statement conveyed through the Director of Communications, Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Haruna Imrana, said the handing and takeover should be completed on or before the 30th of this month. The Nigerian Television Authority has transited to a new frequency platform as provided by its satellite operator, Intelsat. The NTA Network service will now be received on this channel, on this satellite transmission parameters. Satellite IS-903 at 325.50, frequency 3925.264 megawatts. The carrier of the network service transmission of the new frequency began on Monday, the 19th of June. Another stride towards stemming malaria scourge. We now join Jennifer in Lagos studios to give us details on this and more. Good evening, Jennifer.
Good evening, Fumi, and good evening. Welcome to Lagos. The Nigerian Institute of Medical Research has announced a discovery that can mitigate the effects of insecticide resistance in malaria control. This was at a press briefing in Lagos, where the head of the Institute's health department said research is ongoing to discover more ways of treating malaria and assisting government in the formulation of its health policy. Emil Dori compiled the report.
The head of Public Health Department of Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Dr. Sam Awolola, explained that the step has become necessary considering the widespread resistance to the long-lasting insecticidal nets by mosquitoes and vectors in 18 states of the Federation, a development which is countering the impact already achieved in malaria control in Nigeria.
Long-lasting nets are working very well in areas where the mosquito are susceptible to insecticide. But in areas where the mosquito have developed resistance, there are problems. One, the people reject the net. It's not because the nets are not good. It's because the local mosquitoes have developed resistance to insecticide.
He stressed the need for a large-scale operational research on the use of PBO long-lasting insecticidal nets in resistance hotspot areas in Nigeria to provide more evidence on the use of his tools.
But what we are saying is that we are producing good data that can inform policy. And those such data are very important if we need to move forward towards malaria elimination in the country.
Now we need to plan ahead. Because if we don't, we are likely to lose the gain that we have made in malaria control. We will officially communicate to the Ministry of Health and provide them with the reports of this research.
The World Health Organization recommends immediate and preemptive action to delay resistance, and on this light, the Institute is poised to deploy tools with improved efficacy so as to prevent an epidemic situation in Nigeria.
Still on health, Nigerians have been urged to leverage on the provision of the recently enacted National Health Act to strengthen the nation's healthcare system. A legal luminary, Obiajulu Nnamuchi of the Faculty of Law, University of Nigeria, gave the advice while delivering a public lecture at the National Open University of Nigeria in Lagos. Jane Ojuku has the report.
Many Nigerians are either unaware of their rights to health or lack the confidence that the existing legal framework could be enforceable. This has impacted negatively on the nation's healthcare system, resulting in high rates of negligence by health practitioners and overall decay in the system, as people hardly demand for their rights to health or take legal action to seek redress when they are violated. In his lecture titled Securing the Rights to Health in Nigeria under the framework of the National Health Act, Dr. Obiajulu Nnamuchi explained that if properly enforced, the National Health Act 2014 can put the nation's healthcare system on the right track and reduce the rate of medical tourism among Nigerians.
If you feel violated, you can approach a lawyer. Any lawyer can go to court, or if you think and argue the case, you can go to court on your own.
The provision says that they are not justiciable, meaning that you cannot get access easily in the courts. But this shouldn't be, particularly considering the importance of health in the society.
It's not lack of law or regulations. It's lack of goodwill of the people that is our problem.
Observers noted that the dwindling life expectancy among Nigerians might not be unconnected to the widespread low access to quality health care. They described the lecture as a wake-up call on the citizenry to play their part in securing their rights to health using the instrument of the National Health Act. In Lagos, Jane Ujuku, NTA News.
This is still NTA Network News. We have more reports ahead, but first, some messages. Stay tuned.
Glow is in the air. It's data. It's what you use every time you download music. It's what streams movies. It's what the banks use to check your account.
It's the very lifeblood of modern living. Data. And where does it all come from? According to industry sources, more and more of it came from here. They acknowledge that Glow is now the largest data network in Nigeria. With your own Glow One submarine cable linked seamlessly to tens of thousands of kilometers with your own fiber optic cable, Glow can provide a huge data capacity anywhere at a more flexible and affordable price than anyone. It's simple. So you see, Glow is in the air. It's everywhere. Say hello
to the Grandmaster.
These data plans are available to all new customers and existing customers who renew their plans. Dial *777#. The largest data network, Glow, Grandmasters of Data.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's what LG wants you to see. Just what we see now, through our technology. LG OLED TV.
Winning in hot and dry conditions is hard. Causes the body to sweat, which attracts germs that are easily passed from one person to another. What keeps you so cool, man? Dettol Cool combines Dettol's protection and an invincible icy feel. For super cool confidence, use Dettol Cool.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
I can't believe she just rejected me and my camera.
She rejected my lights.
How can she not want makeup? Maybe when the battery dies, she'll come back to us.
Nah, not with a 4,000 milliampere battery.
Experience the best selfies of your life. Gioni A1 Super Selfie Super Battery.
The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, announces its training program titled Entrepreneurship Development Program for Retiring Officers, second run. The program is designed for retiring officers from both public and private sectors. Date, Monday 31st July to Friday 11th August 2017. Venue, ASCON Complex, Tokpo Badagry. Workshop fee, 120,000 naira per participant. Account details, ASCON e-collection account. Account number 02-300-5586-1019. For further details, contact Program Director, Mr. E.E. Akpan, on telephone 080-3717-3823. Program Coordinator, Mr. J.A. Adamu, on telephone 080-2368-3872. Announcer, Director General, ASCON.
You're still watching the NTA Network News. The Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, NURTW, has restated that no child should be coerced or compelled to learn or be taught in schools any religious studies but the one that restrictively relates to the belief system professed by the child and its parents. In a statement reacting to the teaching of Christian religious knowledge and Islamic studies, as well as civic education at basic education level, the Council states that the basic education in curriculum, which includes CRK and Islamic religious curricula, was approved in 2013 by the National Council on Education. The NARDC added that the CRK is still being taught in schools as a separate, distinct subject and not a theme in civic education, which is a distinct subject on its own. How to provide a more coordinated and harmonized approach to the Nigerian humanitarian environment that will guarantee the future of refugees was the focus of the 2017 World Refugee Day celebration in Abuja. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday has details.
Record shows that there are a total of 4,560,575 refugees in 8 African countries. 1,409 of these refugees are residents in Nigeria, out of which 614 are seeking asylum. The convergence of these caregivers is to draw global attention to the plight of refugees and internally displaced persons. Represented by the Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, Acting President Yemi Osinbajo said the country is set to unveil a framework for refugees interventions.
Through effective utilization of data, research and planning for the return, resettlement, rehabilitation and reintegration of the persons concerned.
Only then will we begin to see a positive change in our collective ability to cater for the vulnerable for refugees.
Other speakers also assured the refugees of a better and secured future.
In the context of preparedness for emergencies, the Commission is establishing a humanitarian depot in the Republic of Mali.
I cannot but talk also of including in our solidarity the plight of the internally displaced populations in Nigeria.
The refugees' music band entertained the audience in appreciation to God and Nigerian government.
I'm free Nigeria past the world.
I have full hope because Nigeria is giving me hope.
We stand together with the hashtag with refugees and IDPs is the theme of this year's celebration. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
And an early morning heavy downpour left many parts of Ibadan flooded, destroying property in its path. Kemi Akinwande brings us that report.
As a result of the downpour, some residents in Ibadan lost their valuable to flood. Worst hit are areas such as Dandaru, Olodo and Kute in Ibadan. It was a pitiful sight seeing the unimaginable havoc done to buildings and property by the flood, while some residents were deprived free movement out of their homes.
This thing happened 3 years back, so we are appealing to both federal and state government to help us.
This thing started even from Kute Bridge, not only Kute Bridge and some other bridge. On getting there around 7:30, we see that everywhere was flooded.
Some people were still trapped inside their homes as at the time of this report.
You are not expected to dump your waste either on the middle of the road or on the road or inside drainage. We should clean up our drainages now.
In Ibadan, Kemi Akiwande, NTA News.
And elsewhere, the collapse of the Tatabu Bridge on Jeba Mokwa Road has disrupted rail transportation service between the southern and northern parts of Nigeria. Deborah Agbola visited the site and brings us an update.
Bridge which links the southern part of Nigeria to the north collapsed after the June 11th rainfall. Although no one could specifically identify the cause of the collapse, losses associated to the destruction, residents say, runs into millions.
To transport somebody and local goods from Ilorin to Mokwa has been the worst we've ever seen.
Actually, people are now passing the bush. There they are robbing people again.
The managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Engineer Fidet Oheria, lamented losses incurred by the corporation as a result of the collapsed bridge and railway, adding that the implication on the services of the corporation could be devastating if not attended to in time.
We have some goods that were supposed to go to Kano. We were not able to move them. We have to be apologizing to our customers and asking them maybe in the next 1 month. Well, we hope to fix it within 2 weeks.
He explained that the corporation is to construct a temporary bridge called Temple Bridge as a palliative measure to prevent further losses. He assured customers of effective service delivery. Deborah Agbola, NTA News.
Food and Agricultural Organization supports IDP farmers in Borno State. Lami Ali has details from our Maiduguri Network Center.
Hello and welcome to Maiduguri. Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has flagged off distribution of rainy season agricultural inputs to returning IDP farmers and those living within host communities in Borno State. Maimuna Garba brings us the details.
The Food and Agriculture Organization's rainy season input support program is meant to contribute to the improvement of food security and nutrition of people affected by the Boko Haram crisis in the northeastern states by restoring agricultural livelihoods. For the 2017 rainy season support, the FAO is targeting 141,000 rural households covering 1.1 million people, which includes IDPs, returnees, and host communities in the 3 northeast states of Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe. The FAO is targeting 67,000 households in Borno State to get the kits of the inputs, which comprised of seeds of millet, sorghum, maize, vegetables, and fertilizers.
The crisis has affected agriculture for at least 3 years. Based on this, FAO, with the support of some donors, is supporting a program where we will reach 141,000 households.
Representative of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Johanna Yusuf Balami, commended FAO for their efforts in improving the livelihoods of the IDPs, stressing that the gesture will also enhance food availability in the state. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Internally displaced persons taking refuge at various camps in Maiduguri have been called upon to consider their situation as a trial from God and not to give up on life. This was when members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Bayero University Branch, Kano, visited Gonika Chalari IDP's camp in Maiduguri to present relief materials worth over 5 million naira. Abubakar Mohammed Musa has the report.
This is the first time ASU BUK branch is visiting an IDP camp in Maiduguri, and touched by the plight of the people, the association is looking forward to bring succor again. Presenting the relief package, which comprises rice, millet and cooking oil among others to 483 households in the camp, Chairman ASU BUK chapter Dr. Ibrahim Berde said the donation was sourced from cash contribution by members of the association to put smile on the faces of IDPs. He described their condition as pathetic that requires support in every ramification.
We hope it will also ginger other institutions, not only in Kano, but in the whole of Nigeria.
Members of the academic union were at the government house, Maiduguri, where they were received by the head of service, Barrister Yakubu Bukar, and other dignitaries. The members were also at the show of Borno's Palace, where the chairman expressed their heartfelt sympathy to the royal father over the unfortunate incidences in Borno and prayed for the restoration of lasting peace. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Mohammed Musa, NTA News.
And that's the much we can take. It's back to you for me.
Thank you very much. And moving on now, you're still watching NTA Network News. We'll take another break and we will be back shortly.
The FIFA Confederations Cup Russia 2017 on Quest Free Sports for the fan.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime. We bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC as an agency is indeed doing so much to protect the health of our nation. I urge everyone to support NAFDAC in ridding the country of fake drugs and unwholesome products.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Many thanks for being there. We now take on global tidbits. Belgian authorities evacuate people from Brussels Central Station and Grand Palace as explosion rocks the place. Persons waving explosive bells were also neutralized. Let's now join Chidima Ndubisi for more.
3 African firms that provide